This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, let's talk about the Canes. They are absolutely kicking ass, moving up in the polls and getting ready for Florida State in 2 weeks. Adam Lichtenstein does an excellent job of covering the Canes for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. You can follow him there on Twitter at AB Lichtenstein. Adam, dude, what a hell of a performance on Saturday night. That was awesome to watch.
Absolutely, especially on defense. I mean, the stats that the Hurricanes put up are mind-boggling. I mean, lowest Gators offensive output in terms of yards in 26 years, and no third down conversions, no first downs until like halfway through the second quarter. Like just their PFF grade, like on the offensive line for pass blocking, was under 1 out of 100, which is just, I didn't know it went that low. Just insane stuff. I mean, the offense obviously had some rough patches here and there, but the Gators defense is legit, and I think that played a big role in it. They're familiar with Carson Beck, so that, and the conditions were not fantastic. So it could probably take a mulligan there on the offensive side, and the defense played out of its mind.
I got to say, I love the game because they dominated early on, right? And then the Gators, to their credit, the third quarter, they kicked ass and they dominated. And I like that because there was adversity in the game. And then that drive in the fourth quarter to just kind of seal it. And they got back to playing the way they were playing in the first half. Punching them in the mouth, moving the football, eating up the clock, all of that. I like that because if you kind of coast all the way through, you don't get to appreciate the win nearly as much. The fact that the Gators made it a little bit of a contest in that third quarter, I like that. It checked them a little bit. It gave them a little reality, and I'm sure Mario Cristobal is going to love to use that on film too. For the guys. But I like the up and down. I described it like an arm wrestling match. You had them like this, and then they went like this, and then you went back like that, And I kind of think that that's what went on in that game, and I think that's a good thing for a young team.
For sure. And I mean, I'm sitting up in the press box, and they called back that Marty Brown touchdown run, and then they had to punt, and then Florida scores, and Carson Beck throws an interception, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. Like this game. Like I was joking with some friends of mine. I'm like, okay, I have my 2 leads are written down. One if Miami wins, one if Florida wins. Like I got both ready to go. Obviously, no one's ever going to see that Florida lead because they didn't come back and win. But you're right. No, this kind of thing, it builds, chemistry. It builds tenacity. It builds culture. It shows that, it's not going to be a cakewalk for this team. They face good teams, and they have to put them away when they get the chance.
Yeah, and again, that to me that was really good in that one. And the other thing, a couple of weeks ago in the first game in Notre Dame, there was a call that Mario made. Where that was, some people thought, oh well, a little too conservative. Oh, he should have gone for it. Well, a couple of weeks later, you're going up against another tough defense. And you see that passing game isn't yet in sync. And the decision he made in week 1 is the right decision. It tells you a month later, in this game where the passing game isn't there yet, but it's good to know where the defense and the running game is overall, special teams, everything else is working really, really well. But you can tell that passing game is still, especially in the red zone, those are things that they still have to work on a little bit, but it kind of helped out because it was such a point and counterpoint that we had in week 1. To me, I was on Mario's side in that one because at that point he didn't know who his offense was, and in that game we saw what Mario was thinking about in week 1.
Yeah, and at one point during that long fourth quarter drive where they ultimately put the game away, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the clock and I'm looking at obviously seeing how Carson Beck and the receivers have been doing, seeing how the running game had been doing, and how Miami was dominating in the trenches. And I think when they got in around the 25, 30-yard line, I'm like, don't pass again. Don't pass the ball again on this drive, because at that point it's 13-7. Even if you just settle for a field goal, it's a 9-point game and Florida can't move the ball. So I'm like, don't run again or don't pass again, just run the ball. And they did, and it worked. Like they eventually got down and punched it in. Obviously you have Mario Cristobal, who has a reputation. He wants to do the bully ball. He wants to build on the trenches and just ram the ball down people's throats. That's his MO. It goes back probably since the time he was in high school or in college, like as an offensive lineman. Shannon Dawson is an air raid, has an air raid heritage, I guess. He's an air raid disciple. So he wants to pass, but they've adapted the offense to work together, and it's working. It's working great right now. I mean, like, yeah, they could have done better on offense in this game, but it's a testament to this team's ability to win in multiple ways. Where, okay, Carson Beck's not going for 300 yards today, but our offensive line is going to dominate in the trenches. The running backs are going to run hard. They're going to push the pile, and we'll win that way. And they're perfectly content to do that too.
I'd be content if they do that on Sundays also. If that team would learn how to run the ball also, it would help. It brings balance to your offense, And by the way, when they went to the passing, they went to more high percentage stuff, which I thought that was really good. Why? Because we were dying to see the tight end get involved, and the tight end got involved really in this game a lot. So passing to the running backs, passing to the tight ends, okay, your outside passing game isn't where it needs to be yet, so you adjust a little bit the running game and pass it to the more high percentage guys. I thought that was really smart. That's how you adjust to a really good defense that you're facing at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was rewatching the game last night and noticed, especially in the second half, after, Carson Beck struggling through the first half, had like seven consecutive incompletions at one point, I think, with like 5 for 12 or something like that. And you're right, they went to Elijah Lofton. They were tossing the ball out to Marty Brown and Mark Fletcher, like great low percentage throws. And because of those players, their natural ability, you see Elijah Lofton hurdling a guy, and Marty Brown and Mark Fletcher can just run through people. Like, you get the ball to them, a little bit of space in the flats, especially with the defensive looks. The Gators were showing a lot of too high looks. You get the ball to them in the flats, there's going to be space, and they can make a guy miss or run through a guy. And hey, you turn that 2-yard pass to the flats into an 8-yard gain, and now you're set up on 2nd and 2, and you run the ball with one of your big backs, and you're good to go. Like, they don't need Carson Beck. They don't even need to be Cam Ward. Cam Ward obviously was phenomenal last year, and he'd make things happen. He'd find guys downfield. A joy to watch. But they don't need him to do that all the time, and he didn't have to do that from a lot of the game on Saturday.
Where did you get? Where did you get that way? You got nowhere that way, because it's really hard to win that way and win big. You can put up numbers. You can, on Sunday, they've done that. They've put up the numbers. But in football, if you're not physical, you will lose, and you will not win the big moments. You will not win the big games. You won't go deep into the playoffs. You won't win a national championship. This is why you have to have some of that bully ball that he wants. It's extremely important because fundamentally it sets up your passing game to have success. So if you continue with this, they will worry so much about the run that you're going to be able to hit them over the top. That's really the way it goes. And that's what Florida State's going to see on tape when they're going to watch it. They're going to go, holy shit, we got a deal, with Fletcher and Brown on a consistent basis. And look out, they just got the tight end involved now. That just becomes a little bit more condensed, and then that allows you to open it up a little bit more down the line. That's it.
For sure. And over the course of 4 years of watching, Mario Cristobal Hurricanes teams, I'm fully converted to the build in the trenches style. Like, the fastest way to take a bad team, make up a good team, is just build those trenches. And the offensive line, I mean, you talked about the offensive line is, I mean, they're incredible. I mean, and it's not just, the crazy thing is, like, it's not just, they didn't just do it one way. They didn't bring in a bunch of transfers. They didn't bring in a bunch of 5-star high school guys. There's a transfer here and there. They've brought in transfer centers the last couple of years, and it's worked out. They brought in the 5-star in Francis Maui-Noa and Samson Okunlola, who's now, doing pretty well. So, okay, you get highly rated recruits, but they're also getting these, untouted guys. And Nez Cooper was not a touted prospect. He was a 3-star outside the top 1,000, and he's been their starting right guard for like 3.5 years.
By the way, he was a Mario and a Luis Cristobal, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, he was an untouted guy. They pluck him out of Alabama, and now he's probably an NFL quality right guard. I'm not a scout, but I think that's a fair assumption. An NFL quality guard. He is the heart and soul, I think, of this team. I think he is part of that culture that they've built over the last couple of years. Same thing with like Matt McCoy, a guy who was not a super touted prospect. Um, Martell Bell, who's a monster, but they plucked him out of the JUCO ranks. Like it's a testament to how I mean, like it's the platonic ideal of a Mario Cristobal team and offensive line. Like they're finding the talent, they're developing it, um, and the culture is clearly good because you have a guy like Samson Okunlola, who's a 5-star guy. Matt McCoy, these guys who are happy to wait 2 or 3 years to get their shot, and when they get in, they're ready. So it's like I'm like super impressed. Like I thought I'm not surprised this has happened, but I'm just really impressed with where this team has gotten in that regard and how far they've come over the last couple of years. Because, like, obviously, you bring in a new coach, he can be as exciting of a hire as you want, and it's not always going to work out. And you can just look at the Gators for that. Like, the Gators had a lot of excitement for Billy Napier, and that's not going well.
Yeah, no, definitely not, dude. I mean, it's just again building it the right way. You look at the passing game. Obviously, the running game is going well. Now it looks like maybe you're getting the tight end a little bit more involved. The beauty is the way it's constructed. You won't need the Cam Ward heroics all the time to bail your ass out because you're going to be in games constantly with it. When you win at the line of scrimmage on both sides, you're going to be in all the games. So what needs to be tweaking right now just to get that passing game to that next level, especially in the red zone?
I would say, I mean, first off, you got to hope that not every game is being played in the monsoon. That can't make things easier. You got to hope get a little bit more dry weather. Um, I mean, like I said, I'm not a scout, so I'm not really great at picking out like, oh, he needs to work on his footwork or something like that. But I think Carson Beck is a veteran guy. He's been doing this for a long time, a 3-year starter. He's got 2 weeks to kind of evaluate what wasn't working. Um, a lot of it was on him. His throws were offline, like he was throwing the ball wide, throwing the ball low. So definitely on him. There were a couple drops. CJ Daniels stands out because I was shocked. I didn't know CJ Daniels was capable of dropping a pass. Had a ball go through his hands on a crucial third down. So like some of it not his fault. Some of it might have been the weather. Some of it might have just been him being a little bit off, a little bit, whatever, whether it was something Florida did. And Carson Beck did say after the game, he's like, I faced Ron Roberts, the Florida defensive coordinator, 3 times. I don't. He's like once at Auburn in 2023 when Roberts was at Auburn, and then the last 2 years at Florida. And I don't know how we did against Roberts when Roberts was the Auburn defensive coordinator, but the last 2 years against Florida and this Ron Roberts defense, it's given Carson Beck trouble. He threw 3 interceptions against Florida last year, won this time, but obviously his worst game so far this year. So maybe it's something that Ron Roberts just clicks for him with Carson Beck, and he's got his number. But the good thing for Carson Beck is he doesn't have to face a Ron Roberts defense again all season. So I wouldn't be shocked. Like I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back against FSU. I have to do some research on my own on the FSU defense, but like I wouldn't be shocked if he comes back and has a perfectly fine game in 2 weeks.
Yeah. AB Lichtenstein, by the way, on Twitter. I have my theory. He was dealing with the injury. He didn't really practice all summer. I don't think he's really yet down tight with his receivers yet and timing and and knowing where they're going to be all the time and where they like the ball and all that kind of thing and these kind of settings. I don't think he's played enough games with his guys yet to really know and that's the hardest part of the entire offense is the timing of a passing game in game like situations. Whereas the running game was already established, dude. You already had the line established. You already had everything going. They already felt their mojo going into the season. So the running game had more of a seamless transition into this season, whereas the passing game, you're going from one completely different quarterback to another. You're going from a guy that can play off of, ad lib to a guy that has to play on cue. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
a completely different set of QBs for the linemen, for the receivers, and for him now in all this offense. To me, it takes a couple of more weeks. Plus, the keys you said. One, the Florida defense. Whether you hate them or whatever out there, Canes land, I get all that crap. But the bottom line is that Florida defense is excellent. That's a really good defense. And that's what he was facing, besides a good defensive coordinator. And then the weather. So there were a couple of other things that are going on. But I think as the season goes on, I think the passing game will be just fine, dude. I really do.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
I just don't. The problem is Cam Ward spoiled your ass, and you need to compartmentalize and put that shit away. And that was separate and that was different. This is now you're a different team than you even were last year, because offensively you're really structured a little bit more balanced now, overall, especially with your defense now. You don't have to go out there and play crazy offense because your defense is keeping people in check. I just think it's one of those things that we need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit and give Carson a little bit more time to get chemistry going with all his guys. To me, that's what.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think Carson Beck's going to have to be in too many, come back from 25-point deficits at Cal kind of situations like Cam Ward was. And we saw the detriment that's caused when you don't have a lot of time to get in sync with your receivers. We saw it with DJ Lagway. Lagway had even less practice time than Carson Beck. He was off all night too. He was throwing the ball wide. His footwork was, I mean, again, not a scout. You could tell he is not right. Like
Of course
anyway,
not.
it's obvious he's not right, and part of that probably is because he was banged up and hurt all throughout spring, all throughout fall. He barely had any practice time, so we see how much of a detriment that can be. I think Carson Beck, he might be right that there might be something to like the fact that he didn't start throwing again until summer and stuff, and I think he's got the timing down with a lot of guys. Like there have been some good plays so far this year, like timing plays where he'll hit someone like Malachi Tony, who's coming, who's just getting separation and it's timed really well. But again, it's 4 weeks into the year. We still have 2/3 of the season to go. I'm sure, a lot of stuff that needs to be worked out. I think anyone on the team will tell you they can get a lot better, especially after the way the offense played.
A couple of those CJ Daniel highlight catches, they're not good throws.
They're not perfect, yeah. Especially the one against Notre Dame. Like that could
They're
have been a pick very easily.
Yeah, they're sensational catches. They're not good throws. It's just that CJ's range is just a love affair for every quarterback in the world, because
Yeah.
you love receivers that have range because you don't have to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? But it's just one of those things. I think we have to be a little bit patient with him and give him some time. The beauty is he doesn't have to be Cam Ward. If he was pressured to be in that situation, like, yo, this team isn't very good, you need to be better and bail him out, then the pressure would be on the guy. But right now, I just don't think that's the case. Now let's switch over to defense. Dude, I love they've got a defense. They've got a defensive coordinator. They adjust, my brother. They adjust.
It's amazing.
Even in the third quarter, when they kind of figured him out a little bit, and let's start running outside. Now they said, no, we're gonna cut that shit out too. And I love that, dude. The guy knows how to adjust. I watch a guy on Sundays. It takes him a year to adjust. Not a quarter, not a half, not a series. No, a goddamn year. So I love what I saw from this defensive coordinator in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at where they rank like nationally in different stats, and it's night and day from last year. They're like top 15-ish, I think, in points per game and rushing yards allowed and passing yards allowed. Like, I think they've got like they're 25th in sacks, but they're getting a ton of pressure on quarterbacks. Like this defense is legitimate. Like they are really good, and we saw that. Like I mean, Florida's offense has been going down the tubes so far this year, but they held them in check better than LSU did, and LSU's got a really good defense too. They did better against them than LSU did. It's so impressive, and the culture of this defense, I think, is also something that can be talked about. Because one of the things when I was rewatching the game last night that really stood out to me, and it wasn't like a highlight reel play really or anything like that, but there was a play, I think it was in the third quarter or fourth quarter. Lagway dumps it off. The Hurricanes get a good pressure on Lagway, but he's able to dump it off to a running back or a tight end or someone. And Ruben Bain goes from like the 25-yard line to the 40-yard line. It's like he teleports. Like he's rushing the passer and he's almost at Lagway. And then time the ball gets to this receiver, stains on him. And I'm like, I watched it 3 times and trying to count how many yards, with my terrible math skills, trying to count how many yards he ran in like half a second. Because I swear, I don't know how he went from, it wasn't like a deep pass or anything, but he went from well in the backfield to in the flat, track down this receiver in no time at all. And I was like, if that's not culture, like having a guy who's a defensive lineman, best edge rusher and best defensive player in the country so far this year, and he's not just rushing the passer and saying, okay, I did my part, I pressured the quarterback, but he's sprinting back out to make a tackle on the receiver. Like I was just like blown away. It's not like a highlight reel thing. It's not a sack. It's not you didn't get in the quarterback's face. It's just it really impressed me.
Yeah, you can tell Mario's recruiting excellent football players, but he's also recruiting excellent people that are going to be professionals. And we can actually say that now in college football because they're actually getting paid now legally. And so we can say professionals, and
it's pay taxes on it and everything.
Yeah. You're seeing professionalism on the field at the same time, which is damn impressive. Adam, what do you got going on in the Sentinel, my brother, so Canes fans can check you out?
It's a bye week, but as they were saying after the game on Saturday, it's a work week. So, still be chugging along. There's a basketball, availability with Jay Lucas and a couple players today. So, going to have a little bit of basketball stories this week, get people a little excited for this new era of Hurricanes basketball. And then going to be obviously still writing about the football team and how well they're doing. Planning on doing kind of like non-conference, the bye week and non-conference play being over. It's a good time to take stock of, how well each position group is doing. So going to have some position by position grades later this week and keep chugging along. And it's my birthday this week.
Nice. Wow. All right. So you're a Libra like me, dude. I'm October 1st.
Yeah. Yep. Right. I'm a Libra turning 25. No, not actually 25. I wish.
What is it? What are you turning?
33. 33?
Don't worry about it, bro.
I think 33. I think I had to double check. My sister asked me, "How old are you turning this year?" And I'm like, 33. I think. I don't know. Once you get past 21, it's all the same.
It's all right. 59 for me on October 1st. I've packed on a few more than you, brother. Follow him on Twitter. As always, AB Lichtenstein, catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel, or subscribe and support. As always, should be fun. Adam, enjoy yourself, my brother. You're covering the only decent football team in town, my man. So, the pro team ain't anything, so you're covering the team in town, my man.
Hey, there's always St. Thomas Aquinas, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. We can go at the other levels too. There's quality. Unfortunately, at the pro level, there isn't
Not
any
so much.
there. That ain't getting it done. Adam, have a great week, my brother. Look forward to Florida State. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.